All right, here we go.
We're
Welcome
live.
to Hometown History. This is season 2, episode 11. This is our short. Right now, we're going to discuss the Fiji Cannibal, the most remembered burial in Potter's Field. So I'm Jamie.
And I'm Dami.
Yeah. So in 1872, P.T. Barnum Circus came to York, and they set up shop right here in Penn Park, which is really fascinating. Can you imagine like a circus going around in Penn Park?
I can't.
At night, the performers and staff stayed at the Pennsylvania House. It was a boarding house on George and Philly. Today, that is the York County Judicial Center. During the day, though, they would joke here, and Yorkers came from all over to see the armless woman, the bearded child, the man in miniature, and the strange and brainless being said to have been captured somewhere in Central Africa. 4 of these people would have been so-called cannibals, and here's a picture of them from Fiji, and this would have been in the newspaper for people to see and come watch.
Well, I would not have been brave enough to attend the circus. But you're probably wondering how the cannibals joined Barnum's circus. So Barnum boasts in his 1872 book, Struggles and Triumphs, of paying for their release from enemies who had captured them. Some believe that they were captured Australian Aborigines and sold to Barnum's circus. In Prowl's 1907 History of York County, one of the cannibals forgot himself and began to talk, telling the bystanders that he would not act as a cannibal any longer for only $12 a month. A newspaper at the time reported that the female member of the troupe was born in Virginia and served a wealthy family in Baltimore.
So there really is no solid story then. Again, some believe that they were captured, Aborigines from Australia. Others believe that they had kidnapped them. Others said that they're getting paid. So we don't know this full story. Great example of how history can still be uncovered. Great research topic for those of you who are looking for some type of thesis to study.
Right.
So the Fiji Cannibal ended up getting sick in his hotel room. He exhibited symptoms of indisposition for several days. Apparently, York County did not vibe with him, which, poor guy. The report goes on to say the miniature being was dying. He rose up in bed, muttered, "Fiji," in a whisper, and fell back dead.
Poor guy.
A man named Mr. Smith found him, and he described it as when he actually came in and found him dead, he described it as a horrible scene. And this is now proven to be false, but Dami's going to tell us what newspapers at the time reported.
Right, so at the time they wrote that when the dead body was discovered, the 2 male associates had gained access to the corpse and were biting and gnawing at the fleshy parts of the body with all the eagerness of their native cannibalism. And the newspaper was accused of taking payment from the circus for this article.
And we just want to point out how unfair this is, that people were treated as spectacles.
Right.
And then even when a man died, locals then made it further a spectacle in the newspaper, saying that his friends had cannibalized him and were eating him, which all reported later to be false. So not cool, guys. So the man's body was buried in York's Potter's Field, which at the time was right across from Penn Park. So the circus, here was a picture of it at Penn Park, where it would have been, and that green arrow points to a school. Now it is a parking lot. You might recognize the William Penn High School, that's still there, but that is where the Potter's Fields used to be, underneath that school, and that is where they buried this poor man with no burial plot, no marker. They put him in the ground, and that was it. He died the very year, which is very interesting, as the historically Black Lebanon Cemetery had started in the nearby hilltop. So within walking distance, a quarter of a mile where we are today, Dami and I are filming at Prospect Hill Cemetery. We have the moved Potter's Field Lebanon Cemetery. But yeah, this would have been the original Potter's Field. And it's interesting too, because Potter's Field also did not have any segregation. Blacks would have been buried beside whites and all people of color for that matter.
Right, and he remained in the city cemetery for 25 years until the city needed a new school. So they were going to build the new high school, and it later became Hannah-Penn Junior High. And the ill-maintained mass graves posed a health threat to building the new school. So in 1897, the York City exhumed over 600 bodies from the cemetery, moving them to their final resting place among Shelley Alley and West 7th Avenue in North York.
Yep. During the exhumation process, when they took out the bodies who had been interred at Potter's Field, there were about 600 bodies, they estimate, they uncovered many, and one of them was the Fiji Cannibal. This would have been on April 8th, but they didn't dig the entire body up. They wanted to wait until April 9th. April 9th was where they were going to do most of the transitioning. Again, this was back in 1897. But this is where the report gets murky. On that next day, on April 8th, his body was reported missing, and they could not find it. And legend has that a local York physician took the skeleton and bleached the bones and wired it together and had the skeleton hanging in his office later.
Morbid.
It is morbid. It's very unfair, too, this poor man, thinking about his life story.
So the takeaways from today's episode. We no longer view human beings as spectacles to toss away, but the people interred in Potter's Field still do not have proper recognition. Let's change that by adding a monument with their name and the historical significance of the place. And that brings us to Jamie's project.
Yes, the project is called Project Penny Heaven, and we're trying to put a monument down at York City Cemetery, the new location at Schley Alley, which is right connected to Prospect Hill. We are trying to raise over $7,000, so if you're feeling generous around Christmas time, please donate. We will add the donation bar underneath to the comments below, so we appreciate anything you have to give. The monument will have all the known names on it, which we have about 200 known names, as well as a history of it, and then the index of graves, which we're going to talk about more in our main bar, which is going to start in about 5 minutes. So stay tuned. We'll be back.
Thanks.
See you guys.